My name is David Trimble. I'm the Vice President of Public Policy and Education at the Religious Freedom Institute in Washington, D.C. And we are at the International Religious Freedom Summit here in Washington, D.C. And we have as our special guest today, Fiona Bruce, MP with the British government and Special Envoy for Religious Freedom. So you're the point of the spear in the UK and for the work in religious freedom. Tell us a little bit about that role, moving into it, and then what you're doing, not just there, but your office around the world.
Thank you so much, and it's great to be with you, David. Yes, I have the privilege of being the UK Prime Minister's Special Envoy for freedom of religion or belief, and so it's my duty to promote and defend freedom of religion or belief around the world. In fact, the whole world except the UK. So it is a bit of a challenge.
Yes.
Because, as we know, there is so much discrimination and persecution, and it's increasing.
Yes.
So, in addition to that, as this envoy for the UK, I've been elected to be chair of the International Religious Freedom or Belief Alliance.
Yes.
IRFI. Yeah. Not an easy pronunciation. Perhaps I'll call it the Alliance for the purposes of this interview.
How many countries are in the Alliance?
Well, the Alliance only started 3 years ago with just a handful of countries, and now there are 42.
42, okay.
Doesn't this show that the issue of freedom of religion or belief and awareness is growing around the world, and that governments are beginning to take note, because you can't just join the Alliance. You have to commit to the principles of the Alliance. They're on the US State Department website, and that means committing to Article 18 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights at home, and committing to actively and with other countries championing it abroad. So we work together, it's 42 countries, and of course our collective voice is so much louder than the voice of our individual countries alone.
Well, that's right. That's one of the things that makes this summit so valuable. The religious leaders coming together from all over the world. Of course, the predecessor of this summit was the International Religious Freedom Ministerial, founded here in Washington, D.C., of course, under the leadership of former Ambassador Sam Brownback. And your position is basically the position there in the UK that he has served in here. But I mentioned the ministerial because, of course, the ministerial was held in London under your leadership last year. And I want to compliment you on a job well done. It was enjoyable to be there, but religious leaders came from all over the world descending on London, and you helped to frame that event and advance the defense of religious freedom through that event. So lead us through that. Talk about that just a minute, and if you would shed some light on how important that was last year.
Well, thank you, David. And first of all, I'd like to say that this was teamwork.
Oh, yes.
And it was teamwork, actually, not just across the UK government, but also with civil society in the UK.
That's right, yeah.
We could not have held that summit. It would not have been the success it was without the involvement of civil society.
Yeah.
Right from the start, we sat down with civil society organisations, with representatives of the UK Round Table, called the UK Forum, and we said, now what are the subjects, what are the themes you want us to focus on? And as a result of that, yes, you're right, people came from all over the world. In fact, we had 88 governments sent official delegates.
Oh, wow. Wow.
But it's important not just to talk.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful 2 days, but we were determined that out of that would come action.
Yes.
And so immediately after the 2 days of the government summit in London, we held a third day, which was a civil society next steps day.
Right.
100 civil society organisations or representatives coming together to say now what action needs to be taken to take this forward.
Yes.
And so several themes were developed. I'll just run through some of them. Things like strengthening education materials, particularly for teachers for very young children. Creating a whole cohort of young ambassadors across the world for Working with countries where their legal systems need to be developed so that they can actually, in practice, apply the commitment to Article 18 that they might have in their constitution, but when a young girl goes into a police station and she's been raped because of her beliefs and she gets no action from the local police, that's not freedom of religion. So it's how to help judicial systems. Then we're also looking at networking human rights defenders across the world, and all of this is being taken forward by a council of experts which advises the International Alliance. We have nearly 40 experts who help us take forward, and then once they've developed the programs, then we can put those to the country representatives.
Well, a tremendous amount of work that is carrying on from the ministerial. Let's close with one other kind of topic related though, and you even mentioned the training of young professionals, of kind of that next generation of leadership. And the interesting thing is, many of them are already doing it. Not just that they're learning and preparing, but they're already doing it. It's very encouraging to see that. We were very fortunate at the Religious Freedom Institute to be able to partner with your office on the launch of a transatlantic statesmanship and religious freedom seminar in conjunction with the ministerial last year.
That's right.
And we'll do that again this year, and I think at least as we're talking, we've planned to do it on an annual basis. We had 8 students from the United States, from colleges, law schools, universities here, and 8 from UK schools, PhDs, master's level students. And it was really a gritty conversation around that table. It was the best young professional seminar I've ever been a part of. And I just want to thank you for partnering with us on that.
Well, David, I want to commend the Religious Freedom Institute, because those young people who I met were caliber young people, passionate about taking forward in their generation. It was a pleasure to meet them. And the program you'd put together was a really substantial one. I particularly want to encourage you to consider repeating this again year on year, because I call working with young people the ultimate upstream prevention work.
Exactly what it is.
It is exactly what it is. What we want to do is actually prevent abuses of freedom of religion or belief ever happening.
That's right.
And
not reacting, but preventing.
Absolutely.
Right?
And so, if we can prevent discrimination, if we can prevent persecution, if we can create a next generation going forward that thinks this is as unacceptable as discriminating against someone because they are disabled or because of the color of their skin, then we will see a different world.
That's right.
And perhaps we might even see those words "never again," which have been uttered down the decades from the Nazi persecutions of the Second World War. We might see those become a reality in the young people's generation that we sadly haven't seen it in ours. So thank you for all you're doing. You're an inspiration.
Well, thank you for teaming with us. Thank you for these few minutes together.
Thank
God
you.
bless you for coming and spending some time with us
Thank
today,
you.
Fiona.
God bless you.
Thank you.